In the 9th chapter of St. John's Gospel, our Lord invites us to reconsider some of the presuppositions that we bring to this holy season of Lent. Specifically, he invites us to consider the order of penance, the order of suffering, the order of punishment, pena, in relation to himself. So in John chapter 9, we hear Jesus passed by and he sees a blind man, a man blind from birth. And his disciples ask him a question. They say, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus replies, "Neither he nor his parents sinned. It is so that the works of God might be made visible through him." And then our Lord concludes, "While I am in the world, I am the light of the world." And so what happens in this gospel passage, of course, is the disciples see something most unfortunate, most regrettable, a suffering, a privation, blindness. This is an unnatural state. It's a regrettable state. It's a difficult state because sight, one of the five senses, is one of the most fundamental means through which human persons interact with reality, the external world, their environment. This man has been deprived of this. And so the disciples, doing what humans naturally do, are searching for causes. And they try to frame, in light of this privation, blindness, the cause, the bad cause, the sin of either this man suffering from blindness himself or the parents. And so what we see in how the Lord, when he interacts with the disciples, he's having to respond to their framing of the very question. The disciples begin their inquiry in light of a privation, an absence of a do-good, and they attempt to find the intelligibility of this absence of a do-good, blindness, the absence of sight, in relation to a further privation, a moral privation, an evil, sin. And they locate or attempt to locate this moral privation, no longer just a physical privation, blindness, but now a moral, in either the man himself or in the parents. And this is commonly how we regard life as well. We see regrettable things and we immediately look for natural, contingent, finite causes of a moral, ethical, privative nature. And it's very understandable that we do this because if we do certain things, bad things can happen to us. If I run with a sharp object, I can trip and be penetrated and hurt gravely. If I jump off of a high building, I can fall and break my bones. We can see that human actions have consequences, even in the physical order. And it's true, sin can lead to suffering. Culpa, guilt, can lead to punishment, suffering, pena. But what our Lord does is he reconfigures, as he always does, the preconceptions of the disciples, the priorities of us natural, human, confused creatures around himself. And he says, no. This suffering, this physical evil, this privation, blindness, is actually most intelligible in relation to me. It's for me. Look in or at through this privation, not trying to find its own intelligibility, not trying to resolve it back into the putative sins, disorders, moral evils of this man or his parents, but rather our Lord says, regard this evil, this blindness, this physical evil in relation to me. This, dear friends, is the gospel. Jesus came into the world to be the light that would show us the way to salvation. And through Lent, we are invited, even if we assume penances and practices, not to focus, to home in on the penances, the evils, the sufferings, the struggles, the privations, the fasting, but to find our Lord in and through them. The two great temptations of all of us when we're faced with moral or physical evil is to try to stare into the moral and the physical evil in an attempt to find intelligibility, salvation, explanation in and through privational formalities. And what our Lord says, when you see privation, when you see evil, when you see sin, when you see all forms of suffering and disorder, whether those be culpa, guilt, sin, or pena, the effects of guilt, culpa, suffering, punishment, come to me. This is the gospel. Lent is a reminder that there is no such thing, there is no place as a no-fly zone for God. God comes to us and touches us even in our brokenness. And he transforms us even in our broken states. And he draws us to himself, broken though we are in ourselves. He unites us to he himself, giving us his own divine life, light, and being. So many of us would experience life-changing wisdom, consolation, insight, and practical implication if we would only realize that our Lord did not come to make us fundamentally better people in ourselves, to help us get wealthy, healthy in ourselves. He came to give us something better, himself. This is the gospel. Yes, does living in Jesus mean we flee moral, culpable privation? Sure, no one can be united to Jesus and continue in grave sin. Certainly not. But Jesus is much more than the sin annihilator. He's the life and light giver. He gives us salvation. He gives us himself, and he teaches us in today's gospel, when we see privations of a physical or a moral order, don't stare into the void of privation, but turn to Jesus and thank him, embrace him, and take consolation in him, knowing that he gives intelligibility to all privations, because in Jesus all privations are occasions and instruments and a means through which we find he himself.